Ever wondered how safe your network really is from cyber threats? In the vast digital landscape, network vulnerabilities are as common as pebbles on a beach. But fear not. Understanding these vulnerabilities and the importance of managing and remedying them can make all the difference. Today, we're going to demystify these concepts, breaking them down into digestible, relatable pieces. Are you ready to dive into the world of network vulnerabilities? Let's get started. First off, what exactly is a network vulnerability? A network vulnerability is a weakness or a loophole in the security of a system that can be exploited by cybercriminals. In simpler terms, it's like a tiny crack in a fortress wall that can be used by invaders to breach the fort. These vulnerabilities can exist in a variety of forms. They may be present in the system's hardware or software, in the network infrastructure, or even in the behavior of the people using the system. For instance, a software with outdated security patches, or an employee using a weak password, both represent network vulnerabilities. Now, why are these vulnerabilities a big deal? Well, they can lead to serious consequences. Cybercriminals can exploit these vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access to sensitive data, disrupt network operations, or even launch large-scale attacks. Think of it as a burglar finding an unlocked door to your home. Let's dive a bit deeper and discuss some common types of network vulnerabilities. One of the most common types is configuration errors. These are mistakes made during the setup of hardware or software which can leave the system vulnerable. Then there's software vulnerabilities, which may arise due to programming errors or outdated software. Another common type is security policy flaws. This can occur when the rules and procedures designed to protect a network are inadequate or not properly enforced. And then we have physical vulnerabilities. Yes, even the physical access to network devices can be a vulnerability if not properly secured. Lastly, let's not forget about human error. Unintentionally clicking on a phishing link or using easily guessable passwords are all examples of how human error can lead to vulnerabilities. So now that we know what network vulnerabilities are and how they can jeopardize a system, we can see why it's critical to identify and address these vulnerabilities. It's all about staying one step ahead of the cybercriminals, continually fortifying our network fortress. With this understanding, it's clear why we need to manage and remediate these vulnerabilities. Now that you understand network vulnerabilities, let's talk about vulnerability management. Vulnerability management is an ongoing cycle, a continuous process that involves identifying, classifying, prioritizing, and addressing vulnerabilities. Now that might sound complex, but let's break it down. First off, identifying vulnerabilities. This is like going on a treasure hunt, except instead of looking for treasure, we're looking for potential weaknesses in our network that could be exploited. This could involve automated tools like scanners or manual methods like code reviews. Next, we have classifying vulnerabilities. This is where we decide what type of vulnerability we're dealing with. Is it a software bug? A configuration error? Knowing what you're dealing with can help you figure out how to best address it. Then, we prioritize. Not all vulnerabilities are created equal. Some are more severe, some are easier to exploit, and some might be more relevant to your specific network. Prioritizing helps us decide what to tackle first. Think of it as triage in a hospital emergency room. Finally, we address the vulnerabilities. This could involve applying patches, changing configurations, or even redesigning part of the network. It's all about reducing risk and making our network more secure. But here's the thing, vulnerability management isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a continuous process. New vulnerabilities can pop up at any time as systems are updated, new software is introduced, or attackers develop new techniques. This is why a proactive approach is so important. We can't just react to vulnerabilities as they come up. We need to be constantly looking for them, constantly assessing our network. It's like being a goalkeeper in soccer. You can't just wait for the ball to come to you. You need to be continually on your toes, ready to jump into action. And don't forget, vulnerability management isn't just about technology, it's also about people and processes. Training staff, developing clear procedures, and fostering a culture of security are all crucial parts of the puzzle. Great, we've covered vulnerability management. But how do we fix the vulnerabilities we find? Remediation is the process of fixing the vulnerabilities we've identified. It's a crucial step in vulnerability management that involves several strategies. Let's break down the process and take a closer look. First, we have patching. This is the process of applying updates to software or hardware to fix known vulnerabilities. It's like applying a band-aid to a wound. However, this band-aid is specially designed to immunize the system against specific threats. Patching is usually provided by the vendor and is one of the most direct and effective ways of remediation. Next, we have configuration changes. Sometimes vulnerabilities are not due to software bugs, but improper configurations. These could be weak passwords, unnecessary open ports, or excessive user privileges. By making the right configuration changes, we can close these loopholes and shield our network from potential threats. Lastly, we have compensating controls. These are alternative or additional controls put in place to mitigate risk when direct remediation isn't possible or practical. For instance, if a patch isn't available yet, you might implement a compensating control like a firewall rule to block traffic to the vulnerable system. Effective remediation is about more than just fixing problems as they arise. It's about staying one step ahead, anticipating threats, and taking proactive measures to protect your network. It's about understanding that the safety of your network is a continuous process, not a one-time job. Ultimately, effective remediation is an essential part of maintaining the security of your network. So, let's quickly recap what we've learned today. We delved into the concept of network vulnerabilities, those pesky loopholes that can leave your system open to threats. We discovered that these vulnerabilities are not just a mere inconvenience, but a serious issue that can compromise your network security. We then explored the critical role of vulnerability management, a proactive approach to identify, classify, prioritize, and address these vulnerabilities. It's a constant and necessary process that helps maintain the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of your data and services. Finally, we touched on the process of remediation, the action of rectifying those vulnerabilities. This could be patching up software, changing configurations, or even replacing outdated hardware. It's all about closing those doors that could potentially let in unwanted guests. Remember, the key to a secure network lies in effective vulnerability management and remediation. Stay safe and vigilant.